These are tubeless compatible wheels. I've been running them with inner tubes. So why switch to road tubeless? Contrary to popular belief, tubeless tires are actually heavier than the equivalent high-performance road tires. Add the valve and sealant and they come out about even with a high-performance road bike tire and tube. No tubes means no pinch flats, so you can run lower air pressure and get a more comfortable ride with better traction. The softer tires will track on a rougher surface with lower rolling resistance. Punctures are also less likely with sealant in your tires. Let's get rid of those inner tubes. Start by removing the air from the tubes. Unseat one side of the tire. Try not to disturb the bead seat on the other side of the tire. Use a tire lever to remove the tire bead starting at the valve. Remove the inner tube starting with the valve. The next step is to install the tubeless valve that came with my wheels. Insert the valve and tighten the valve nut. Remove the valve core using a valve core tool or the flats of a small wrench or pliers. The coreless valve will make it easier to quickly inflate the tire to seat the bead in the rim. Insert the tire bead into the rim. Use a plastic lever to gently complete the insertion. Slather the bead and rim with soapy water to ease the tire bead seating. Use a high-volume pump, air compressor, or CO2 cartridge to completely inflate your tire and securely seat the tire to the rim. Make sure both sides of the tire are securely seated in the rim. You can use the sealant container that has an easy dispensing nozzle or a syringe in order to precisely inject the sealant into the tires. Shake the sealant to ensure it is adequately mixed. Fill the syringe to the desired level. The amount of sealant you use will depend on the size of the tire and who you ask. For a 25mm tire, the recommended range is between 30 and 60 milliliters. I'm going with 30. I can always add more later. Position the valve with the core removed to allow the sealant to drain into the rim and away from the valve. If your syringe has a needle, be careful not to puncture the inner rim tape. Slowly inject the sealant. The sealant will help seal and secure the tire to the rim and hopefully seal any minor punctures I encounter in the future. Reinstall the valve core and tighten it with the valve core tool. Now we're ready to distribute the sealant inside the tire. Slowly rock it from side to side as the sealant seeps into the seams between the tire and the rim. Do it on both sides to ensure a good seal. Now we're ready to pump up the tires to pressure to make sure that the sealant is doing its job and that the tire will actually hold air pressure. Make sure that the valve nut is nice and tight. Open the valve, connect the pump head, lock it, and pump. Make sure that the tire bead is properly seated uniformly around the rim. There's actually a little line on the tire indicating where the rim reference is. Rotate the tire and make sure that it's uniformly spaced from the edge of the rim. Check it on both sides of the tire to ensure a good, centered, and seated fit. This is crucial in order to ensure that air doesn't leak out of the tire or that the tire doesn't accidentally come off the rim. Tire sealant has a limited life inside your tires and needs to be topped up from time to time. Typically, it should last between 6 or 7 months, but check it regularly. And here's a little trick that I learned from our friends at Park Tools in order to check the level of your sealant in the tires. Start by cutting off the end of the zip tie. Open the valve to let all the air out of your tires. Next, remove the valve core. Insert a zip tie all the way into the valve and to the bottom of the tire. Make sure it clears the valve seat. Withdraw the zip tie and check the sealant level and liquidity. Add more sealant if necessary. Reinstall the valve core and pump back up to pressure. Check the pressure in 24 hours. If you have problems, check my slow leak video. So, are road tubeless tires the next best thing to sliced bread? Well, the day after shooting this video, I noticed numerous tiny pinhole leaks in my tire. I even tested a fresh pinprick with a needle, and the result was that the tire was unable to fix the puncture with the internal sealant. This is kind of disappointing. So why change to tubeless on your road bike? You are less likely to get flats. Well, I rarely get flats, even riding in the city. No tubes means no pinch flats. I rarely get pinch flats. Lower air pressure will ride much more smoothly on rough roads with lower rolling resistance. I can safely ride at low enough air pressure. And there are still all the drawbacks. Installation is complicated, and if you do flat, it's rather tricky to fix those flats, particularly at the side of the road. So after all that, I'm going back to tubes and tires. Let me know what you think in the comments. In the meantime, go out there and have a great ride.